Today's government, but we do have a forum, so we'll start with
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good play. Okay, so we can stay this side. Review and approval of the January 2nd minutes. Deletions, changes. I didn't have any, but that was you.
Nor did I.
Seems good to me.
Okay then. I would entertain an approval to accept those minutes then, please.
Move approval of the minutes for January 2nd.
Give it a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We don't have anything on the chairman's comments this evening, just yet, but we'll move right on to the crux of the matter this evening. Transfer station Clay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
When we first put the budget together and we went through it, we knew we had one area that was going to be flexible, which was the same thing we had last year, was construction debris. And we forecasted, a little bit light, knowing full well that we may have to come back if the volume kept up to add on. And so the first item, if we have it, it's on the CD line, which is 01-4324-20390. Last year we had $80,000 for construction debris, and we forecast to put in $93,000 because we had about a 20% overage. That overage for CD for this year ended up, after we got the last bill January 10th, came out to about 25% over instead of 20%. So we re-looked at it, and we would like to put another $7,000 in that line to make the total $100,000. The actual money spent, if you look on the sheet that you have, in the column number 2, extended requested as of December was $95,614, and the actual amount after the last bill came in January 12th was $100,192.37. So if we raise that to 100,000, it's pretty accurate to what we had to haul out and the cost of it this year.
But you're also addressing a fee structure on that too.
Yeah, that's a whole, yeah, right, that's a whole,
Okay.
this is solely on the tonnage and the fee to move.
No, I understand that.
Okay, but we have addressed, and we think we have solved the majority of the problem. We had a test program from September through December, and we pretty much repaired that by increasing the amount we charge to the commercial trailers. And we went from, to get the specifics, if you want the specifics, in 2017, we had 798.15 tons of construction debris with 124 containers. This year, 2018, we had 979.05 tons with 149 containers. So we had 25 containers more for the year and 180 tons more than we had last year.
Somebody's building something.
Right, well, the economy has keeps going up. The second item is always asked every year by the budget committee, because usually we have the meetings in December, And we don't get our diesel fuel delivery. We get it once a year, basically off-road diesel fuel delivery until mid-December, so that they have the additive in it, so it's good for year-round use. And we had, if you got on the line to the fuel line, which is 014324300635. We had $800, and we actually spent $919. And I'm forecasting with a new pusher box and more use with the backhoe that we'll use $1,000 this 2019. So I'm asking to raise that line $200. So the total, raising the CD line to $100,000 is a $7,000 increase, and $200 increase on the fuel line would be a $7,200 increase, which would change the total from $411,176 to $418,376.
Does anybody have any questions for Clyde on this?
I see here that I'm calling it mainstream waste, is that the right?
MSW, no, MSW is what goes in the compact.
Right,
Okay.
whatever that means.
Right,
I noticed that that's overspent by $6,398.35.
Yes.
You're not taking any increase on that to try to?
no.
Okay.
And the reason is hopefully, if the price of mixed paper comes back, because if you look at the difference, and you look at the tonnage that we had for MSW, or solid waste, we had an increase from 10,047 tons, or 1,047 tons to 1,085 tons, which is about a 40 ton increase. Then you go down to mixed paper or paper, you'll see that we had a 70 tons down to 23 tons, which is a 47 ton difference. So the difference was when we stopped doing the mixed paper, that went up into the MSW. Hopefully, the mixed paper price will come back and we'll be able to go back to baling mixed paper. And that's why we had increased that line. We had increased that line from 99,000 to, we had increased that line from 99,000 to 104,000 already. So that's a $5,000 increase. We went 6,000 some over, so it's only a $1,000 difference. So I decided to leave that one as we had forecast.
Okay then.
I feel like we're spending money on the symptoms and not on the disease. I just get that feeling. I'm convinced a set of scales, everybody goes across would solve our issues. So I'll tell you flat out, I'm going to abstain on this one.
Good, understand.
Yep.
Well, do we have a motion to accept this change?
I'll move that we approve a total of $418,376 for category 4324.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We'll move to the second. Is there further discussion? None forthcoming. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention.
Abstention.
Thank you, Clay.
Okay.
By the way, is your building put back together again yet?
Halfway. We got, it was within 12 hours, it was reframed and the
Okay.
inside walls put back and the outside buttoned up. I'm just waiting for a new window and then he'll do the finished work.
Do you have an ejection seat now at your desk?
Yeah. It was a good thing it was on an off day.
Good, thanks, Clyde.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next line, which is 4415. Which I don't have a tab for. So I had to make one. There we are. I have a couple of questions on this one for the selectmen. Hopefully you can answer questions. The
Hopefully,
Wolfboro Senior Citizen Center is not looking for any money this year, is this?
they did not ask for any money.
Okay.
Tri-County Action asked for a little more money, $200 more.
Mhm. And well, the two other line items that jumped out at me at the end of this, the 68 hours of hunger line and White Horse Addiction. 68 hours hunger doing so well, they don't need any more money from us, or
Right.
half the amount?
Half the amount. White Horse Addiction was a warrant article last year
Mm-hmm.
because they were new to the,
Mm-hmm.
this part of the budget. And that's what we gave them last year.
Okay.
We still can't get the American Red Cross to indicate any services rendered to Tuftonboro?
I don't know that we asked for a report on that.
Might, for example, when they do a blood drive, might somebody from Tuftonboro benefit from that without actually knowing it, and they put that into their blood bank? And I'm just wondering, but I think that could be part
But
of
I
it.
I don't think they've ever reported, actual.
I don't know how they could sometimes.
Right,
Yeah.
I think it's an administrative problem. but
Mhm.
I have no objection to it.
So you're seeing an increase of about $305 over last year.
Has anybody asked, do we just, that you make the decision, say no, don't even bring it to us, or
I'm sorry?
is there anybody or any organization that's asking for anything that will come to you, but it doesn't get past your desk before it gets to us? Just out of,
No,
Okay.
I mean, we've not, if we turned anybody down,
yes, that's my
Yeah.
question.
no.
Okay.
I mean, there were any number of reasons we should turn people down, but we
Mhm.
didn't. We didn't have that opportunity this year. I'm still a little, although Blue Loon gave us a report on ridership here in Tuftonboro, so I guess they are providing service. But that was always a question in my mind, is whether or
Yeah,
not.
every time I see it, it looks empty. But
They're very short. When they get older, they're short.
Well,
Shrinkage.
They did break it down this year in terms
Yeah, they
of-
did, actually. And we're not any worse off than we were last year. We're not, our cost per ridership may be a little high, but it is public transportation. It's the only game in town.
Well, do we have a motion on the line item? I'll make one. I move that we approve the 4415 health services amount, the amount of $40,001.
I'll second that.
We move to the second. Is there further discussion on this? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? And that, I believe, gets us through, I'm sorry, I have one more, 4194. Hi, John. On this one, Chip, is the town office electricity that is going up, is that a function of the cost of running the new ACs? Or is that just the general inflation of electric rates?
I think that's a calculated rate. Um, Town office electricity, is that what you're saying?
I'm just looking at the first line on town office electric.
Right. I mean, we budgeted 4,500, we extended out, it's 3855, I think that was missing one electric bill, but we calculated 4,300 should be enough, so it's down a little bit. The heat is up a little bit.
Replacing the rotten windows.
Right, we're replacing rot maintenance, so it's not just the windows, but there's some siding involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
The window replacement in the town office improvements, $2,000. So that line went from 20,000 to 2,000. And we're also doing some clapboard replacement. So the outside maintenance remained pretty flat. It was at 2,500 and we're at 2,200. The vendor rates on the town office maintenance, grounds maintenance, that went down, but that was based on bids for the outside maintenance.
Had a lot of big drops this year.
And townhouse improvements, we added $1,300 for outside lighting.
Thank goodness.
Townhouse outside maintenance. So leveling the walkway and replacing clapboards, but also the improvements line, we kept that pretty level at 1,300. It was 1,200, but we're gonna do some outside lights so that those of us who are getting older don't stumble away from elections and meetings.
Worth your life up there trying to get out. Library maintenance, that's it's not gonna snow or we're not gonna mow along.
So over-
That was the one that septic pumps got removed.
Right, we removed the septic tank pumping from the library,
Well, that's true, I beg your pardon, right?
and
They forgot about that. For,
Why did it get moved from the library?
Repairs were needed.
what, the outside maintenance?
Yeah.
Well, when we had the failed septic field, we had to pump all the time.
yeah,
We're not gonna be doing that anymore, so we had to do septic.
at $200 a whack. And the request had dropped from 55 to 45 from the library. We went further to reduce it by the amount of the septic tank pumping.
Mm-hmm. The other big drop was the transfer station. Went from 10.5 to 45.
It was painted on side.
Oh, yeah.
That was repaired and painted.
Okay.
We voted on that already.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So the whole budget went from 150,661 last year to our request of 111,425.
Mhm.
$39,000.
I move that we approve the revised budget for 4194, a total now of $111,425.
I'll second that.
Moved and second. Any other questions? Forthcoming, those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And that finishes the line item. Anyway, it's always okay. Actual revenue then versus estimated revenue for the upcoming year. Were we not, in years past, being reimbursed for rescue runs by insurance companies?
We had broken it out. I'm not sure that we had, actually were being reimbursed, but I know it wasn't broken out.
Oh, okay.
The only income we got is when someone paid for an insurance report. With a few times there were accidents that involved alcohol. There's a civil process where the town can go after, like a DWI who causes an
Mhm.
accident. I don't think we've had any of those for one or 2
We
years.
actually put together, subscribed to a billing program for our ambulance service this year.
Yes, that's
So
no,
we've got, I think it was $19,000, if I remember right.
I think it's between 9 and 10.
Yeah, $9,008. So, and I don't believe that was for a full year,
No.
because I remember we were talking about the billing program in January last year. So we've added that line, which is on page 3 of the revenue report, down under income for departments, medical rescue insurance claims. So that should go, I think we're gonna leave it that way. There was talk about creating a capital reserve where that money would go to offset the ambulance charge, but I think that makes it a little confusing. If we leave it here as a revenue source, then we can refer back to the ambulance cost and make some calculations. So we're over on a few things. Are we looking at 2018, Chairman? Is that what we're looking at?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, so our payment in lieu of taxes is up, which is good. That's the payment that the camps give us for services rendered. We were pretty close on almost everything. We're gonna find a hit, and you will when we start reviewing the 19 numbers, that the legislature in its wisdom has dropped the interest rate on penalties, so the $44,260 we collected this year is going to be dramatically reduced.
They can set that? Congress will set that?
Not Congress, it's the legislature.
No, I'm saying, but,
Yeah.
so they set the interest rates for the state,
They can pass legislation that says your interest rate is X,
They changed it from 18% to 12%.
or at least under 10.
Yep.
Yeah. But we want to make sure it's being fair to those people who get penalized, that we don't want to charge them.
So it's your credit card
for
code.
being late.
Yeah.
Motor vehicles were up. I think we're gonna have the town clerk in later. I think, I don't know. Building permits were up.
That's just the price of cars.
Wait. Yeah, it's 8% sales tax on cars. Roads and Wheels was right where we thought it was gonna be, as was the highway block grant. And we have the other grants and reimbursements, once again, listed 0, but it was 41,000. We made some adjustments, as you can see in the income from departments, the recycling fees and permits. That's the construction debris waste is a big factor in that. So as you can see, his estimated revenue for that was 48.4, and he collected 81,000. It's going to be a little higher next year as well, as we try to get to parity with the amount of volume versus the cost of getting rid of it. The recycling income was down, however, by $12,000, or $11,683.
That wasn't a surprise.
Right. Sale of municipal property, there.
There's nothing from the library?
No, that comes in the
Perennial question.
$18,500.
Yeah. $18,450.
I'm sorry, what did you say, what?
18,500, which comes in.
Oh, okay, so we're just waiting.
Yeah,
It's a screwy way we have to do library accounting.
Okay, all right, never mind.
Okay, we have to show it as an expense, but it's not an expense because it's money that we've already collected, so and every year it shows up in the annual report, and every year everybody says, no, that's not right, and every year somebody, thank God Marcia Hunter, pray to God she never dies, doesn't want to do this job anymore because she does such a great job keeping the books, but no, there's income from the library.
And we had some other miscellaneous revenue, the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative rebate heating units, some energy rebate, $5,800. Then there's a bookkeeping thing at the end, but our grand total of revenue was $1,404,234.
So they made money.
Yeah, we're profitable, isn't it?
Figure the odds. Some government entity out there probably would say that.
It's gonna be a little lower this year. If you wanna go to 19.
Yeah.
The land use change, which was at $50,000 last year, was set at $10,000, which is a $40,000 decrease. The timber tax was gone up a bit, but that's because there was a lot of timber cutting that didn't get booked into, was done in 18, but isn't liable for payment until April of 19. Payment in lieu of taxes were.
I'm sorry. Any reason you can see that the land use charges are plummeting? It just, nobody,
Well, there were some larger pieces that were coming out last year.
yeah.
I think down, no, I don't know that address, but it's down in the lake. And we don't foresee any this year, so
Okay.
there's some, but not $50,000. Excavation staying around $300. Boat registration is pretty flat as well. The betterment, another item that paid out completely was the betterment assessment on Zadida, which the last payment was last year. So there's no betterment assessment for this year. Penalties and interest dropped from 12 to 18, depending on where you are, to 8 to 12, depending on which you were. So it's about a 60% drop, 35% drop. So that's down to $25,000. Business permits is, we're budgeting is flat, 45,000. Motor vehicle, I believe it's pretty flat as well at 620. Building permits were at 32 last year, at 35 this year. Other licenses and fees at 7,000. Rooms and meals is set by the state. It's just a percentage of the state's income that we get as a town. The highway block grant is at 83,000, which is pretty close to where it was last year. We don't have any other, the $41,000 highway block grant that we booked on the last of the year, we don't know what that's gonna be, so that's not in here either. The milfoil amount, I wish I had Brother Marcus in here, because I think the 3,000 is light, but that's what we booked it at. We had a discussion about it at the last selectmen's meeting, and I thought there was some additional money coming in. Income from other departments, including the library, at 16,700, or 125,000, 16,750 coming in from the library. Sale of tax deeded property, 30,000. We've got one property in particular that we met with the auctioneers on Friday, so we're pretty confident about that number. The sale of municipal property, the Freightliner, I think we already got that money, didn't we?
Yeah.
We've already sold that piece of equipment for $1,250. Interest is 8,000. We've got some miscellaneous revenue, including a refund from Primex and our general liability insurance company, as well as workers' comp and unemployment. So that 16,616 is factual, which gives us a total operating income of $1,188,166. In addition to that, we've got $355,500 from capital reserves, and as of the authoring of this report, $1,173,500 from the library trustees, and $5,000 from the unreserved fund balance, giving us a total warrant article revenue offset subtotal of $1,534,000, and a grand total of $2,722,166. Our unreserved fund balance, after you take out the voters voted for surplus of 2018 and the warrant articles 8 and 12 from last year, is 862,000. The 5,000 that you show up there in fund balance up above is reflected down here as being, as reducing the unreserved fund balance. So a net of $857,710 sitting in that fund balance. I could do a percentage, but I can't do it in my head quite that quickly. Sheet
And that, the percentage that, is that a fixed percentage every year for meals that we get from the state?
It's a percentage that they set of their revenue that we receive, but it's based on the gross collections. And I don't know what those are, but it's pretty consistent.
How do they figure that, how do they figure that by town?
Yeah.
Population wise?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I really don't. I thought had to do with our collections. I mean, that's how behind the ball I am. You know, we have a couple of motels and some rental properties, et cetera, and restaurants. But it's
No, I don't know. if we-
not $122,000.
No, I was gonna say, that'd be,
Yeah, but it's gross receipts of a few of them.
yeah. In other words, we're actually getting something from the state instead of sending it out.
It appears that way.
It's a miracle.
They, you give it and you take it away.
Okay. The expenditure report, anybody have any questions on that? Do we know how many pay periods we had in 2018?
52.
Okay, so
There are 53 in 2019.
I knew that. I was just looking for anything that jumped out at me that could have been affected one way or the other by payroll. Guy, perhaps you can be a cemetery trustee. When I went through this, I just took my highlighter and said numbers that sort of jumped out at me that, I know we probably discussed it before, but we were over it by $3,500. Was that was tree removal, as I remember correctly, and
One of those, and we also bought a fireproof safe,
that's right.
which
Okay.
was not
Thank
cheap.
you. Thank you. Highway been over already. Did we lose a fire department officer?
No.
No? I'm just saying that was some, once again, I'm looking at $25,000 that was not spent.
The reason for that, there was 100 less calls this year.
Okay.
Remember all the microbursts and whatnot?
Mhm.
And they only get paid when they come.
Does the year-to-date expenses, is that all 12 months of the year, or does that not include December, does that?
should do everything.
It should be the end of the year.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
We've got a
the
few
end of
more.
the year that the bills trickle in all the way.
Yeah, there's a few more things that are still coming in.
As of the moment, or as of the 17th, we had spent roughly 91% of what we had budgeted. Which meant we spent less than we had budgeted.
There's probably at least 5 or 6 four-figure bills that are still pending. And for example, the University of New Hampshire doesn't bill for water sampling until the last day of the year, so it takes a while for the billing to get here.
I think I did a few calculations last year, and it seemed that the town pretty consistently spends about 95% of its budget. And given the fact that they can't spend more than is approved, it seemed
No, I thought it was a good thing.
Yeah, it is. That's the only way you build up a reserve.
There's also factoring in that you just, any budget is just that. The shot in the dark, witness the highway maintenance, winter maintenance. You think you're doing things and then,
I don't see any need to use profanity, Jordan.
I beg your pardon?
I don't see any need to use profanity.
What, the highway maintenance? Winter maintenance?
Winter maintenance.
Well, it snows, it snows.
you can't control Mother Nature.
Well, we've addressed that, so hopefully we've addressed part of it.
You see very few items that exceed 100%.
Well, the ones that did
Uh,
are accounted for, we've already discussed, so.
Right. We say we're 97% of it.
There's certain things that jump out at me with money that did not get spent, I'm happy to say, you know, direct assistance, like, see them only spent 43% of our budget. That's good, because that shows there's a certain amount of human misery that's not going on.
Yeah, there's still a fair amount that is going on.
I understand that, but,
Yeah, we're pretty lucky that way.
mhm.
I mean, just the demographic.
you
We
look
have a
at-
lot of, I mean, there are a lot of organizations, or a few major organizations in town that handle a lot of the
I
welfare.
understand that, but still, that's,
We have one 501c that's already helped 25 families with fuel assistance.
mhm.
Can you imagine if you were
Get
paying
an
for
award
that?
for 333%.
Moving on then to the proposed budget, bottom line. Anybody have any questions or comments on the bottom line? Other than the fact that we're, as we used to do, it's a 53-week payroll.
Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at the 2019 proposed budget, the big form, the bottom line one.
Okay, and,
That would be
the,
wrong, right?
Hmm?
That would be wrong.
What would be wrong?
Wouldn't this?
It does not include the
What was it from?
increases that we voted on today.
Well, that's true, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Which is what, $7,200?
Well, 7,200 plus the charities, plus,
Transfer station, health agencies, general government buildings.
I got most of them in here. I think I missed the change in Clay's budget. So it's gonna be about 4,010,000, give or take. Which is gonna be a 10% increase over this 2018's actual expenses.
We were at 4,015,000.
You only have 402.
I will double check it with my, with these, but I went through.
It does say draft.
But I will go back through after tonight and double check my numbers, and I will double check with the new report that Diane puts out. And we will also, the actuals for 2018 will increase as well, because there are bills that are coming in.
So we can settle this at the next meeting.
But I just thought you might want to see where we're headed.
It's always out. It's always out there for it.
Yeah.
It's tough to go down.
And it's funny how a couple of times have done it. Very interesting.
Well, we do have the extra week of, the extra payroll period in this.
Oh, yes. No doubt.
And we've also got a revaluation of the town properties.
Yep.
I don't think we've dealt with anything here before this total out of balance.
No surprises.
No, we tried to drive down what we could drive down, and some of the stuff you just, we're not a big enough player to make any difference at all.
Right.
We'll wait for the final numbers to come in, and we will load this at our last meeting before the public hearing. Moving on then to the warrant articles. Article A is the library article, and I assume that you are all aware that it's now that the selectmen and the trustees advocated not to borrow any money for this thing, to do it 1 year. By doing that, we should save even if we could do a 3 or 5 year note, which the town's going to be saving $45,000 to $50,000 in interest. Which, as far as I was concerned, not even as a trustee or as a budget committee, but as a taxpayer, so that goes a long way to paying for the next project. The dollar figure of $173,500 is a moving target. We will be sending out from the library one more letter to the general populace, asking for any further donations before before town meeting. I don't expect to see a huge amount of money to come in at this juncture, but whatever we can garner, we'll.
Sometimes you get surprises.
Well, I got surprised once. I would love to think that it was interesting.
You have a strong heart.
I was talking to the lawyer today from the municipal association and telling him about, on another matter, and telling him about, you know, this windfall that we came across, and he was telling me, he was recounting the story of Hudson, New Hampshire, which had been going through the same process, going for long-term. It didn't get it, until all of a sudden one man came in and said, here's $5 million, you've got it, case closed. And I said, well, I guess if we went on size of community to Hudson versus Tuftonboro, maybe we're on the same scale. But so as I say, that 300, that number should change.
The construction cost in here, the 1,862, is that a little bit lower than it was before? I
1
thought it
million.
was,
1,862,000.
yeah, thank you, yes.
Well, that's lower because we've also taken money, we're having the plans done as quickly as possible.
Right.
And the meeting with the selectmen, the trustees said, if we can do this, and that's $130,000, that's the difference between $1,997,000 down to the number on the warrant article, is that half of it will come from existing capital reserve funds because of the change last year and the selectmen now being able to use that not only for a new building but for an addition. And then we're taking the other half from the library money. So it's a 50-50 split. And the advantage of this, of course, is multifold, that we'll have a much better idea going forward, what our true costs are going to be, obviously. We're going to get into the bidding process at the best time of the year, which is the beginning of the year. And more importantly, as far as I'm concerned, that building, the bill will be up, weather tight, before we have to deal with days like today. Because snow is a very big expense. And as I looked at if you drive from South Main Street in Wolfboro, you see what they're dealing with. I say they're one big blizzard from being shut down. That could happen anytime. And when you're paying somebody 65, or not necessarily they're making, but when somebody's billing you out $65 an hour or so for a carpenter or whatever, and they're shoveling snow instead of pounding nails, I want to get this thing up and as weather tight and ready to go before the bad weather gets. We should be able to do that by getting into the process early. So I consider that to be money well spent.
Gordon, I just have a question. You probably addressed this in other meetings, but what percentage of that 1.1 million is pledges?
I didn't bring that one there. I want to say 260,000 plus. Oh, thank you very much.
That may be old,
Well, this was a December number, and it has changed, but in December, we had $245,000 in pledges.
Okay, so let's say 250. So just out of curiosity, and I know that that's generally obligated by those people. So what would happen if this gets approved and we don't get that money? What's our contingency on that?
Well, we built a smaller building.
Okay.
But if you sign a pledge card, that is a legal obligation, actually.
Right, but I just,
Yeah,
Some of
Some-
those
you
pledges
never
have
know.
already been paid.
yes, well, some people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if that would hurt the library in any way if they didn't come through. Because 250 off of the bill would be a significant decrease.
It would change things obviously, but all I can do is tell you that when Wolfboro, which did all of their fundraising was done by pledges, they got every single penny.
Okay. Yeah, and I know,
Yeah,
and that would be great, but I wanted, if that was like 1 million was in pledges, how would that affect? But 250, I guess, I was just curious.
yeah. And some of that has, as Bob was saying, some of that has been redeemed already. All depends what people want to do at the end of the tax year.
Sure.
But I want to say right now, I want to say we're around $260,000 in pledges.
The trustees are still determined to use Bowen as a construction management corporation.
Yes.
I'd have to say after their mess at the fire station, my vote of no will be a vote of no confidence in Bowen, not in the library itself or the trustees or anyone else.
Can I ask you why you blame the construction manager for a
Failed piece
a
of
sub
equipment.
and a failed piece of equipment. Why is it totally on their back? Your project manager is not, it has no responsibility there. He's overseeing the subs.
Two of my biggest issues was that this Andre, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Close.
Close is at least a former, if not current, deputy fire chief, and yet allowed a building to be built where you couldn't wash a fire truck inside, which cost us extra money. And they weren't clever enough to put the fire station sign on the road side of the building. As far as that insulation falling down, that should never have escaped them. And I think their numbers are inflated as well. I've been involved in concrete, steel buildings, fire trucks, all of it, except for the electrical. I currently hold an HVAC license in the state of Connecticut, and I think the numbers are way inflated. I look at the job that BTS did.
Have you done a total comparison?
I've done the best that I can with what I get for information.
Well,
And that's my opinion, that's all.
Yeah, okay. I'm
Yep.
just curious as to, you know,
But I
why
applaud everyone's efforts to get this done, and town meeting vote and my vote here may be different.
Next article is the updating of the tax maps. 16,600.
Excuse me, Gordon, do you want to vote on the?
I think we would do this, I think we would do all of our final voting at the next meeting. This is just pretty much discussion,
Okay.
because we'll have better numbers by then.
So we're going to a digital format on the tax map updates. 2 weeks is no longer gonna do
As
the
opposed,
manual.
so what does this get us as opposed to what I can see now when I log on and I can see all of the little maps and it shows me where my property is and all my neighbors and so what is
Right.
this in comparison to that?
It's gonna actually do that
That's
and
what we have now.
update it. No, you don't. You have, what you have now is the avatar information, which is the tax assessor. The tax map that Sue Weeks does actually goes through all of the planning board decisions and zoning board of adjustment stuff and all of the rest of it and physically draws or makes adjustments to the map.
So more
We don't
information
have
on those.
that currently. We have avatars. You may think we've got the whole town there, but you don't. It's-
Okay.
It's dated like
My
2014
property
or
is on there,
something.
so that's all.
Yeah, I'm sure my property's on there as well. There's some property that isn't taxed or is in some other form of use. The other thing you'll get are overlays of like current use of tax exempt status, that sort of thing, so that you, and we'll also be able to plug in our pavement schedule that we're putting together, this computerized pavement.
Excavation, show on
Excavation, timber cutting.
right? There, for example, we had, I think it was 32 lots at Tuftonboro Corner at one point in time, which got reduced into some bigger lots, and that would make a change in it as well. Those kind of things are
Right.
going to show, much easier to do digitally and to store. So,
Well, that's the only option we have, really. And we interviewed a number of companies to do it. And the 16.6 is the one-time charge to put it all together. And then there's an
Get it done.
annual
Maintenance.
cost, which is pretty close to what we're already paying
Mhm.
to do it manually.
Article C is the paving, $285,000.
It's up just a little bit, but it reflects the number that was on our
Mm-hmm.
Lakes Region Planning Commission paving study.
I still miss special for tar. I just thought that was a great phrase. Trying to explain that.
We don't get to tar and
feathers.
Among that item. Article D is the Sawyer Road paving.
It's not the paving, it's the
Preparation,
preparation.
I'm sorry.
Preparation paving. The reason we put Article D in was because there was a vote to eliminate Sawyer Road from our paving schedule a few years ago. We need to get it paved. I mean, so we need to ask the legislative body if they'll allow us to pave Sawyer Road. And this is the method we're doing. If they vote yes on this particular warrant article, then Sawyer Road will become part of our paving schedule. Maybe this year, but probably not till next year.
One moment, please.
Sure.
If we vote yes to prep the road, we'll leave it for a year or more?
Oh,
We
I don't
won't-
know.
We won't pave it immediately, because that would be kind of dumb.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not gonna speak for the road agent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All I'm
Excuse
saying
me.
is that we're gonna prep it for paving.
Yeah.
And we are gonna pave in that neck of the woods, so hopefully it'll be
Okay.
done.
Okay, just as a point of interest, the CIP committee put the Sawyer Road paving out into 2022, so that everything didn't get loaded into this year. Just saying.
So you'll see this for a couple of years.
And it could be that we, if it doesn't fit in, maybe we don't spend the 15. You know,
Can you make that a non-lapsing warrant article so that we don't have to keep redoing it every time, or, I don't know.
I'll talk to my fellow selectmen.
Okay. I mean, it's possible to do that, though.
Yeah.
Okay. And cost may go up too, so I guess maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, though. We're not gonna pave it till 2022.
Well, that's the CIP's recommendation.
I understand that.
How we're gonna do it.
Just-
Well, and I would say that that would be the same as your article here, just, I can't imagine you would prep it and then not pave it.
Right.
But we were just concerned that we didn't want to go way over the capital capacity for this year, even though we didn't go over it. We stayed under it.
Oh, and that was before paying for the library loan from years.
This is
Yeah, we eliminated almost all the other warrant articles, so it's going up, but not,
I just was
Police
saying it
cruisers
as
and everything else.
just
yeah.
because.
Article E is the $40,551 for the 19-mile improvement.
And we're currently in the bidding process for that project, so this number may change.
Up or down, or do we know?
Well, hopefully down. We've got the design done. but-
So, and this is separate from the 19-mile Brook baseline report?
Right, this is for the public beach,
Oh, yeah. here
the
it is.
perched beach that's
Okay.
down there. It
Yeah,
needs
we
some
had
work.
pushed that out to 2020.
The
on
beach.
CIP,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
well,
Article
Now it's on
F is,
29.
Hmm?
Now it's on 29.
Yeah. Geez. The 19-mile Brook study is gonna happen this year,
Right.
because
Oh, yeah, I
it
see.
has to.
Absolutely.
Although your number is higher than the number that was given to CIP.
We'll have results for that soon. They're gonna, actually, probably by the end of this week, we'll have the final,
The final number.
yeah, of what has to be done versus
Right,
the
they were
whole big
gonna-
thing.
They were gonna look at the baseline of this done 10 years ago,
Right.
and then figure out what they needed to do. So the 41.5 or whatever it is, was their first initial go at it, but it should be a little lower. I hope.
What was Article G?
Article G, I think, was a police cruiser. And that's gone.
Article H is debt service for the fire truck, that's pretty cut out.
Yep.
Article I,
Is debt service on
Oh.
the ambulance.
is
Can
pretty
I,
cut through. I'm sorry.
Can I ask on Article H, well, this will apply to Article I also. Did we ask if DRA is gonna insist on these being,
Well, we've asked, a number of other towns have asked, and it becomes a piss and match with a skunk. I mean, we could probably get away with not doing it, but.
So make sure you get that
Yeah.
in the minutes, thank you.
Without cable, right, so I can say that. It just seemed easier to just just do it. You just seem like, what's up? Sorry.
You didn't know we spoke French.
It's I'm a native, so those things just come out. We removed, I want to move on, we removed any number of things.
The CBA.
SCBA,
Yeah, on that one. Is the fire chief on board with that?
yeah, yeah. And
Just,
we'll look
that's-
at next year's budget, maybe we'll increase a little bit, but it's going into a capital reserve. It isn't that we're not buying the equipment.
I'm aware of that. I just didn't know if it was gonna be doubled next year. It's one of those I really can get behind, so I'm kinda, I like
And
it.
it may be doubled next year. It really will depend on where we end
Yeah.
up. We took out any sort of capital reserve for the police station because we're in the design phase of that at this point. So next year there'll be hopefully a police station proposed to the voters. Got the old ones there?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can read some to you if you want to see. You get the police vehicle, yeah, I'm sure you can tell by looking at them which ones.
So G was a cruiser,
Cruisers out,
J was air packs,
oh, yeah, the SCBA is out. That was Article
J.
N. For $15,000, Article L is removing the $15,000 warrant article for the heating system upgrade at the town garage. Article K, I'm sorry, I missed that one, was $178,000 to replace the six-wheel dump truck, which I think is a whole lot too much money. But I'm not gonna do it anyway. Article M was $75,000 on the new bulkhead reconstruction. And we're only in the permitting and design stage of that currently, so there's really no reason to get ahead of ourselves. And I think CIP had that out another year anyway. N was $42,000 for the SCBA. O was to appropriate $50,000 for the police facility capital reserve fund. So those are the ones I don't have a total, but it's a lot. It isn't $333,000, which is what we had hoped for, but it's
Well, as I said, we're not there yet either.
250, 265. Yeah.
Article P, of course, is 5,000 for contingency.
Right.
And Article Z is the bottom line with the total budget, which we will, as soon as we have our final figures by our next meeting,
Yep.
it should be a quick one.
3 million
Yeah, that's good.
XXX.
Oh, 3 million's good.
Yeah. And we should be able to, and I don't want to make promises I can't keep, but I'm gonna make the time up. Is that, given the final numbers, we should be able to see what kind of tax impact that moving the library into 1 year is going to make. So we can speak with authority about how, because that's a one-time occurrence, and my feeling, and I'm gonna be here for next year's budget, my feeling is that it's gonna be $333,000 less in warrant articles. You know, we're only gonna do this once. We're not gonna jack the budget up and then leave it there. Much as we get accused of that sort of activity by certain members of the Rutland name.
Okay then, moving on then, correspondence, I don't have anything. New business,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion for the purposes of discussion
Certainly.
that we open our meetings from this day forward to public input as long as it's, at any time, as long as it's pertaining to the subject at hand. We have very little public to speak of. Boyd has volunteered information at the right times. Just a matter of procedure. I think you as chairman are quite capable of controlling public input should it happen at any point in time. And I feel that we should, as a gesture of good faith, have our public input when the subject is being discussed, rather than maybe after the chief leaves and somebody says, what about this? And then, well, you have to go see the chief while he's gone, etc. Al, for consideration, let's put it that way, I'd like to make the motion that we consider it, maybe vote the next meeting.
You can consider it, I'll fight you tooth and nail on it.
Okay, I'd like to hear your objections if you'd like.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to know your objections.
Because public input is to give your, to bring that forth before the meeting and to discuss on the result after the meeting. But, we put our names on the ballot. Other people did not put their names on the ballot. And that's just the way I've always run meetings.
Are we not to let Lloyd interject when he does and give us information?
Lloyd is giving us information as a selectman.
Yes, but he's a member of the public, not a member of the budget committee at this point in
Appreciate
time.
I think from time to time we've allowed expert testimony. In that regard, I'd be in agreement with you. If there's someone in the public sphere who has some sort of expert knowledge about some aspect of the budget we're talking about,
Mhm.
I might be in favor of that, but I'm not in favor of the rabble weighing in.
Looking at the rabble that's been attending the meetings, there isn't any.
No, I understand that, but my point is that the public input in the middle of a conversation, we have not had heated debates this year. And the reason we haven't had heated debates is because, quite frankly, I think the selectmen did a very good job preparing the budgets for us to consider. But I just don't think that taking input in the middle of a meeting by people who just want to express their opinion is right. And I've never run a business, I've never run a committee that way in all my years of serving the public. And I'd be happy to entertain your motion when it comes up. I'll tell you right now, I'll vote no.
No, you've done exactly what I wanted you to do on camera, and that's perfectly fine. Thank you.
All right. So that was on the new business. Anything else? Anybody have anything in their old business? Okay. Anything from the selectmen that we have not heard?
Let's see.
Let's say,
Let's see.
no, I think we've pretty much handled it. We'll look at the whole thing again this coming Monday. We're not meeting Friday. I'm gonna ask another question. We're not meeting Friday, are we? Roy?
No.
No.
So we'll look at it again Monday and tighten it up some more. I'd not like not to revisit individual budgets because it just becomes really tedious. I think at this juncture, we've got pretty solid numbers. And if we're not gonna run over, not gonna overspend other than the highway, I have no idea what he's gonna do, but we should end up working a budget with a little bit of surplus at the end. And that's ideally where we want to be.
Motion to adjourn.
Not quite yet. We have a scheduled meeting on the 5th, at which time we'll be voting on the individual warrant articles and total budget, and if any numbers will change, we'll have the opportunity to do that at that time. And then on the 12th, Lord willing, the creek doesn't rise, we'll have our public hearing, and that will take care of our commitment.
And we have notified everybody that's involved, the 19-mile brook study, those sorts, but we need those numbers before the 5th of February. So that if there are changes in the warrant,
Yeah.
The motion stands.
I'm sorry, we have to have an opportunity for public input. What?
Good.
that was the public.
That was-
How's that work?
I'm not trying to create issues. In my notes, I'm working with the road agent on Sawyer Road.
Mhm.
That 15,000 might be able to be reduced, he's getting what it is to prepare it. The other thing is, it's lost in the minutia, but the paving budget, if we do Sawyer Road along with the other roads that are close by, it's a savings to the town of $12,000. And that's one of the reasons why I voted to make the warrant article this year.
So can I ask one question, Lloyd? So the warrant article is to prepare the road,
Yes.
But the actual paving will come out of the paving budget?
That's my understanding,
That's,
unless you want to change it at town meeting.
no, I just was,
I mean, the only reason for the warrant article is to let the voters revisit their decision not to do anything on Sawyer Road, which I think was an interpersonal problem more than it was a logistical or engineering or.
I don't know, with a unanimous vote, there's a lot of interpersonal stuff going on.
I guess I could probably get people pissed off when I have unanimous vote too.
But not you. Okay, with that in mind, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moving to second, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.
Everybody have a great night.
And I'll have